Hello and welcome. In this week's episode of FIA Pure Motorsport, we're going full speed up the hill. We have some great Formula Regional action from the south of France. Tire guru Kees van de Grint reveals the secrets of good tires, and much, much more from the FIA world of motorsport. The third stop of the FIA European Hill Climb Championship is taking place in Sternberg, Czech Republic. Ecce Homo is one of the most traditional mountain races in Europe. The track was used for the first time in 1905 and is 7,800 meters long and at least 7 meters wide. The cars competing achieve an average speed of between 150 and 175 kilometers an hour. So let's hop into the cockpit of a young Czech driver and local matador, Peter Trinka, to get a first impression of this beautiful racetrack. Peter Trinka is the big surprise of this event in Sternberg. It's just his second race in the Norma M20 FC, and he is putting on a spectacular performance. After two great races, he finishes third and secures his first podium of the new season. But the focus is, of course, on the eternally young duel between the two Italian favorites, Christian Merli and Simone Fagioli. Fagioli won the first event in Portugal, but wasn't allowed to start in the second event due to two positive COVID cases in his team. So the 42-year-old wants to make up ground on Merli, who has the lead in the overall standings. In his Norma M20 FC, Fagioli has two great runs, but in the end, it's not quite enough. In both races, he finishes with a second-best time. After 15.6 kilometers, he is just 0.466 seconds behind his great rival, Christian Merli. It was great payback for Merli, who was in second place in Portugal behind Fagioli by a small margin of just 32 thousandths of a second. This time, he had the better end for himself. After the first race, his lead was just 44 thousandths of a second, but in the second race, he pushes his Osella FA30 to the limits and beats his own course record from 2019 by 0.05 seconds. A great weekend for the 48-year-old driver who wins in Sternberg and extends his lead in the overall standings. With an average speed of 175 kilometers an hour, Christian Merli wins his second event, Simone Fagioli in second place with Peter Trinka in third. In the closed car category, Austrian Karl Schlegerl in his VW Golf Rally has a great first race, but touches the guardrails in the second race and finishes in fourth. After two first places in the first two events, Swiss Ronnie Bracci would like to make it three in a row, but in his first appearance in Sternberg, he spins his Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4 RS somewhere in the middle of the course and loses precious seconds. Although he tries everything to make up time, he finishes in third place. Polish driver Sebastian Dubaj exploits the mistakes of his competitors. In his Group 2 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, he has 2 solid races and finishes in a surprisingly good second place. A big success for Dubaj in his first race of the new season. But no one in the closed car category is able to beat the Czech Dan Mikl in his Lotus Elise. On home soil, he's producing the fastest times in both races. In the end, he's more than 10 seconds ahead of Sebastian Dubaj and Ronnie Bracci. "2021 marks the launch of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, certified by FIA. An ambitious new project to form an official 4th rung on the road to F1 ladder, perfectly positioning itself after the F4 and before the F3. The idea was to create a defined and unique entry point for young talents coming from the national F4 categories around the world for a strongly participated, competitive, and professional series. There are 10 rounds this season with 2 races on each weekend. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. There's a 20-minute qualifying session and a 30-minute plus 1 lap race, which will take place each day. Race 1 and Race 2 will award traditional F1 points to the top 10 classified drivers of each race, with 25 points for the winner and 1 point for the 10th place finisher. The Formula Regional European Championship is a one-make category consisting of up to 36 identical cars. The F318 is a single-seater made of carbon fiber. It's been designed following the technical and safety regulations of the 2018 FIA Formula 3, thus the latest standards do apply. Everything is done for the safety of the drivers. The fiberglass completely envelops the cockpit. There are front and side anti-intrusion panels, front and rear crash boxes, and a steel roll hoop and halo. The typical steering wheel of a Formula car also incorporates the dashboard. The Formula Regional by Alpine machine features a 1.8-liter 4-cylinder Renault turbocharged engine, which delivers 270 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Formula Regional by Alpine uses Pirelli tires in one specification. Each driver has 2 sets of dry weather tires and 2 sets of wet weather tires available at each event. Now that you know everything important about Formula Regional, let's get into the action. The 4th race weekend in the Formula Regional European Championship, certified by FIA, takes place at the famous Paul Ricard racetrack in southern France. Like always, there are 2 races on the weekend. After 3 stops, young Swiss driver Grégoire Saucy has the lead in the overall standings with 85 points. Paul Aron is in second place, just 13 points behind. Rookie Isaac Hadjar is third overall with 70 points. After a very good qualifying, the overall leader Grégoire Saucy is again in pole position for the first race. Next to him in the first row stands Frenchman Hadrien David. All in all, there are 35 cars on the grid at Paul Ricard. At the start, Saucy in the white and black car is extremely quick, so David loses a few meters immediately, and in no way can he attack the Swiss driver. Behind, Russian driver Mikhail Belov in his black car is also fast, as is Italian Gabriele Mini. But positions do not change. Saucy is leading the field into the first few turns. Still during lap 1, the 2 teammates from the Van Amersfoort racing team, Lorenzo Fluxa and Mari Boya, come into contact and their race ends. Nobody's injured, but the safety car has to enter the track. The launched restart does not see any change in the first positions, as Saucy is extremely concentrated and makes no mistakes. So it's Saucy, David, Belov, and Mini. The great duels happen in the middle of the field. Paul Aron in his red and white Prima Power Team car tries to overtake the blue car of Andrea Rosso, but the Italian defends his position. Aron cuts the turn and has to get back in line behind Rosso. Belen Garcia, number 72, has a great battle with Nico Görler. She attacks him but goes wide in a curve and hits the floppy's position after the curve, totally destroying the front wing of her car. Up front, Grégoire Saucy is leading the race by a large margin. No other driver seeming to be able to match his pace. Shortly before the end of the race, Axel Gnos from G4 Racing hits his teammate Alessandro Famularo from behind and both are out. Race direction will indicate the total responsibility of Gnos and the driver will lose 3 positions on the grid in race 2. The safety car enters the track and brings the entire group to the end of the race. Finally, Saucy passes the finish line first, but he will later be disqualified due to his car not being compliant with the technical regulations. A sad situation after some great driving by the Swiss driver of Art Grand Prix. The final standings see all the drivers behind Saucy move up 1 position. So the winner is Hadrian David, followed by Mikhail Belov and Gabriel Mini. Race 2, Grégoire Saucy is again in the pole position. In the second row are the 2 fastest rookies, Gabriel Mini and Isaac Hadjar. At the start, Saucy is not perfect, while Mini has an amazing surge and is quickly side by side with his teammate, but doesn't quite manage to overtake. Behind, Hadjar has a slow start, so Belov in the black car and Alatalo in the red car manage to pass and take over the 3rd and 4th positions respectively, while the French driver of our Ace GP ends up in 5th. Then Mikhail Belov and William Alatalo attack Mini on the straight. Both cars overtake the Italian rookie easily. Mini has problems with his car and will later retire. After a few laps, the new order is Saucy, Belov, Alatalo. The 16-year-old Isaac Hadjar is in 4th position. The French driver already has managed to get onto the podium in Monaco and wants to repeat this feat on home soil. So the focus in the next round is on the battle for 3rd place. Hadjar is continuously attacking Alatalo, but the Finn in the red Arden Motorsports car is defending his position well. After a mistake in the formation lap, Hadrien David had to start from the last position. But the 17-year-old Frenchman is having an extraordinary race, making up position after position. After a safety car phase, the field is again close together, and David takes advantage, overtaking Thomas ten Brinke in the last lap. He really manages to finish in the points. Saucy wins with practically no one able to really compete with him and demonstrates that the issue with his car in race 1 and consequent disqualification had nothing to do with his great performance. Russian driver Mikhail Belov finishes 2nd and Finn William Alatalo on a well-earned 3rd place. After 3 races without points, Grégoire Saucy extends his lead in the overall standings. Zane Maloney from Barbados is already 23 points behind him, rookie Isaac Hadjar in a great 3rd place. The Czech team of Michael Zdarsky and Jakub Nabelek won the Czech New Engines Rally in their number 9 Kia e-Niro. It was the 2nd round of the FIA E-rally Regularity Cup. This cup is entirely devoted to electric vehicles running in regularity events. The cars are normal road production vehicles with an electric drivetrain. The final results are the combination of the regularity results, meaning the ability to follow specific time targets in fixed distance stages, and the energy consumption, meaning the ability to consume less energy with their vehicles during the entire event. Dutch driver Delano van 't Hoff was dominating the first round of the F4 Spanish Championship on the circuit Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The 16-year-old driver for FIA Motorsport won the first two races and finished second in race 3. Only Danish FIA Motorsport driver George Kelstrup could prevent the Dutch hat-trick. It was the first win for the rookie driver in motor racing and a great start into a new F4 Spanish Championship season. The Trophée International Handikart made a return visit to the FIA Karting Championships for the first time since 2019. Handikarts are for competitors with disabilities, with a new balance of performance class system to enable all competitors to bid for victory. A thrilling final saw over a dozen racers compete for the win under the watchful gaze of FIA Karting President Felipe Massa, who also acted as Grand Marshal for the start of the final, waving the green flag at the beginning of the race. Morgan Lavaux would clinch victory ahead of Michael Wascher and Alain Nicole. Three drivers from different classes had crossed the line in the first three places. It was a historic moment and the beginning of an incredible new legacy for disabled drivers in the world of karting. Back to Sternberg, and the Ecce Homo Sternberg was also round one of the FIA Historic Hill Climb Championship. Franz Hilger from Germany in his Chevron B38 Toyota F3 car won the category for pre-1990 single-seaters. Italian Piero Lottini in his Osella PA990 was successful in the category for 1982 to 1990 cars, and his fellow Italian Giuliano Palmieri in his beautiful De Tommaso Pantera won the category for 1970 to 1976 cars. Tires, one of the most important things in racing. All forces that a car is creating are going to the road through a fairly small patch of rubber. Braking, acceleration, grip in curves, on a wet or a dry surface. You can have the biggest engine with the biggest power without traction, it's all worth nothing. The tires have to function, and to do so, they have to be designed in a special way.
So it is a combination of designing a very good casing for the tire and then a compound. And the compound is a chemical exercise with a mixture of about 140 different ingredients, which must be suitable for the type of tarmac which you're going to race on.
In the world of motorsport, Kees van de Grint is called the tire guru, even if he doesn't like it. He worked for the biggest tire companies, and for them, the Dutchman developed tires, amongst others, for karting, the DTM, the 24-hour race in Le Mans, and Formula One. He became most famous as the tire man for Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari highlight days. The expert for racing rubber knows everything about tires.
Did you know that karting was invented in the United States in 1956 by a guy called Art Ingalls? So, and he wanted to create a vehicle with the same sensation of speed like a racing car, but much, much cheaper. So he was looking for tires and used simply industrial tires. Very heavy, it's actually a German Continental, threaded, and this tire was actually used for industrial purposes.
And slowly there was a development evolution.
Then in 1962, Firestone, one of the largest American tire manufacturers, they produced the very first slick tire for karting, which I believe was also the very first slick tire for four-wheel circuit racing. So, and that's why karting should be proud of, was the start of motor racing. And actually in 1969, so about 7 years later, Formula One followed.
In karting, the tire companies mainly used remolded tires, which were based on industrial tires and not racing tires, apart from the fact that they had a slick tread.
Then a small evolution in 1971. Some people discovered that Goodyear, here is an example, you can see the difference between the original ones, and this is more like a slick tire, and also the width of the tire compared to the first remolded tires. So, and actually this Goodyear tire existed a little bit longer, a few years, but during the World Championship in 1971 in Torino, people discovered that this tire was much quicker than the tires which were normally used. So that was the first day, but the tire itself was still very, very hard and not a real racing tire. And we had to wait till 1977 when Bridgestone came in, and that was really the first tire which you could say a racing tire. So this was the first slick tire that really was a racing tire. Also at that time when Bridgestone arrived on the scene, they produced front and rear, which was not with all the companies the same. And also it was the first time that rain tires, especially for wet weather racing, where of course you have to have drainage of the water.
A great development that started in karting, the cradle of motorsports. The international circuit of Aulnay-les-Bois is known for its technical characteristics and its pitch, a great challenge for all drivers. In the final of OK Junior, Freddie Slater takes advantage of his pole position to head into turn 1 in the lead from Kirill Kutskov. But the tight nature of the circuit catches several drivers in the opening lap by surprise. At first, Jan Przygowski crashes out, and then 5 more join him as Haley Keeble, Josh Irfan, Adam Heidegg, and Zachary David are out on the spot at turn 2, so the race is neutralized under yellow flags. Behind the leading duo, Alex Powell settles into 3rd and William McIntyre is in 4th, ahead of Mateus Ferreira. Fortunately, the wreckage only takes 2 laps to clear, but as the field is due to restart, Slater hits the throttle several corners too early while still under yellow flags, and the investigations begin. Kutskov and Powell do their best to stay with him and not drop back too far, but it's too late. With Slater already building a lead and the pair behind him doing their best to catch him, Ferreira in 4th place is now approaching his Kart Republic colleagues, while James Agosi is doing his best to keep it on the road. But Powell, number 210, is in a difficult position, unable to catch Kutskov and losing ground to Ferreira. After a few hot laps, the Brazilian has now caught the Jamaican up front, and Ferreira is in no mood to hesitate. His move for the 3rd position past Alex Powell is coming at the top of the crest into the left-hander, and now he's setting off after Kutskov. On the 19th lap, Mateus Ferreira, number 225, seizes his chance. At the bottom hairpin bend on the back straight, he makes his bid for 2nd place and claims it. Slater has no idea at this point that his incredible performance all weekend, where he scored pole position in qualifying, race wins in all 5 heats, and led every lap of the final, is all about to be spoiled. The stewards decide that he has indeed jumped the gun at the restart and accelerated too early under the yellow flag. It means that his dominant display will be tainted, and whilst he crosses the line in first to assume victory, post-race the officials hand him a 10-second penalty for his rapid restart, plummeting the championship leader to 10th at the finish. This penalty hands the win to Mateus Ferreira in front of Kirill Kutskov and Thomas Stochaminas. Kimi Antonelli set to work from the pole position in the OK final with a sweeping defensive move that keeps him in the lead, while Tuukka Taponen and Joey Turney end up being ejected from the pack mid-apex. Kamara is pushing Antonelli out front in a bid to extend his championship lead, while the race is heating up behind him. A rare mistake from Ugo Ugochukwu catches out the American, and he loses out to Martinius Stenshorn and Yannick de Brabenda, as he learns the hard way that mistakes at Aulnay-les-Bois are very costly. Arvid Lindblad, number 102, clearly likes that move at the top of the crest and sweeps ahead of Severiukin to move into 4th. Now he's after Gilter, but can he pass the local hero? The Frenchman is doing everything he can to keep Lindblad at bay, but with the speed the Englishman is unleashing, it's clear the overtake is fairly predictable. Out of the back straight, and it happens again, Lindblad showing that relentless pace. Same corner, same maneuver, same outcome. Now the podium is filled with drivers from the Kart Republic factory team. The reigning European champion Kimi Antonelli discards all the problems from Henk from 2 weeks ago to begin his renaissance and dominate in glorious fashion. The Italian is not only back in the title fight, but with raw speed and discipline he shows in France, it is obvious to his rivals just how quick he's going to be. Antonelli wins in Essay, Camara in second place, and Lindblad finishes in third. That's it for today. In the next episode of FIA Pure Motorsport, the FIA World Cup battle set to resume at the spectacular Rally Kazakhstan. The biggest, most imposing racing series in the world finally starts into a new season, and we show you how to drift perfectly. Till next time, take care everybody, and ciao.